You know, and we all have our 15 minutes of fame, and I'd like to take a couple of my 15 minutes to talk about the rights and the wrongs in the world of professional wrestling.
And WWE Championship.
This match is for the ECW World Heavyweight Championship.
7 for the World Heavyweight Championship.
The match and new NWA Heavyweight Champion of the world.
We appreciate you guys coming out and taking your time to support women's wrestling in America.
This match is for the AWA World Heavyweight Wrestling Championship.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have been, well, I'm not going to say me, but we have been like ships in the night trying to get this woman to, get ourselves hooked up. It's been one thing after another, but today I have the Duchess on the program for the podcast, which was originally we were going to do on camera, and I actually do have on camera, so it's like, I got double bonus stuff with her, so, it's going to be a far more in-depth interview, of course, in the podcast, but if you want to see her smiling face, you will be able to see her in the Introducing series, which goes up to Facebook and YouTube on the Women's Pro Wrestling Network. Quick plug for me. But on the other end right now, the Duchess, and I'm not going to butcher your name right now, I think it was Ayzali. Am I saying it right?
Ayzali, like an eye. Ayzali.
See, I just ruined it, didn't I? I just ruined your name. So, my apologies. So, in the interest of me not destroying the name any further, I'm just going to stick with the Duchess. How about that?
That's fine. That works.
There we go. Now, in order to do these podcasts, we have to kind of go backwards in your career just a tad. And you have a relatively young career at this point, correct?
That's very true. April 2016. But I mean, I've trained off and on since I was like 17 years old. I've just had setbacks that kind of prevented me from being able to fully commit. But in the last year and a half, 2 years, I've been able to really fully commit. But yeah, I mean, I've started actively being a regular wrestler in April 2016.
And when you made your debut, and I think I talked to you about this when I met you, you were somewhat of a wrecking machine, and I'm going to put that over for people to go and look up and give a quick plug for the WWA 4 YouTube channel, which that match exists on, and I think you were dropping guys on their head in your first, quote, professional match. Is that correct?
Very true. Yeah, I took care of three or four gentlemen that night, and then of course 3 ladies too. So it was a very productive first night and first real appearance. So I loved it. I don't think they cared for it much, but they don't really matter. So I thought it was great.
Well, I thought you would have some sense of fair play in you. And see, look, you're already going into you don't really care what they think about it. Basically, I mean, they tried their best. We won't get into the end results of that match because clearly I'm sure you want to leave it as you were the dominant force of the night.
That's how I remember it. I don't remember anything else. So yeah, I think that's how it went.
Well, as a color commentator, as a play-by-play guy, I can say officially, you were a dominating force of the night. Regardless of how the night ended, you left as the remembered threat.
There you go.
Okay. Oh, hey, I know I didn't call that match. I mean, for those that follow the Women's Pro Wrestling Network page, no, I didn't have the privilege to call those matches, but I know the game and how that goes. But before we go into the pro thing, we're going to go preceding pro and your jump into pro wrestling. We talked about it briefly before, but for the benefit of those that's listening to the podcast, why did you decide that wrestling would be the thing for you to do?
All right, if I was to kind of tell the real story and the backbones of all of it. My father introduced me to European wrestling when I was very, very young. I actually didn't really know about WWE, WCW, ECW until a bit later in life. I just kind of was watching the independent of European, Johnny Saints, Haystack, Pit Finlay. Those are people that I kind of grew up watching. And then, I came to the States to discover this whole new world, and I kind of was captivated. I didn't know that they had such characters because I kind of came in right towards the end of the Attitude Era, and I was just kind of captivated. I was mesmerized. I was entranced. And I knew I wanted to do it when I was really young, but, who knew that a childhood dream would become anything that you would try to do when you're older. I got older. I started going to local shows in the Chicago area, because that's where I was living at the time. Started going to all-women shows. I think my first one was like 16. Started going to Shimmer wrestling. Didn't know much about it. I knew some of the girls, but I kind of went in blind, and it was it. That was it for me. I already was made up my mind. I'm like, this is what I'm going to do. Regardless of any other circumstances, this is what I'm going to do, or whatever I need to do. And from then on, like the next year when I turned 17, I immediately just trying to find any place that would let me train there and whatever. I didn't care the cost, which I probably should have cared about, but I just knew I wanted to do it, and I didn't care who was going to teach me. I just knew I wanted to be taught. So that's kind of was my mindset, and I really believe that growing up on it, and then seeing these women of all different shapes, sizes, looks, variations, all of this, doing it, it was just like done, paper, fill it, package still, I'm ready to go. So that's really, really how I made the decision to go and actively go and pursue pro wrestling.
All right. So that was basically willpower and drive. So you're telling me you didn't care about the price, you didn't care about who was training. I mean, I'm sure those opinions probably have changed by now, but initially it was just about getting it done. Yeah.
I mean, when you're like 17 years old, I don't think you have the best or most realistic ideas about certain things. So I learned the hard way on a couple of things. I bumped my head a couple of times, but yeah, it was just, I just want to do. That was all I was about. I was always like that. I'm a doer. And once I make up my mind, it's going to get done, even if it doesn't make sense.
Well, now the shoe is basically on the other foot. As you were talking about you attending Shimmer and being inspired by the ladies that were in the ring that night or the nights that you have gone in. Now it is you. And you will probably be the one that is inspiring some young lady out there. And for the benefit of that person, that little girl that's out there listening to this interview right now, if there's any advice in terms of, hey, if you're going to take this path, these are the things that I suggest you do. What have you learned on your journey that you can put back off onto somebody else?
Right. Some of the key things I probably have learned is make sure whatever you are doing and why you are doing it, that it makes sense. And when I say that it makes sense, I mean to make sure that, like, I came in really, really, like, head forward, and I wasn't really thinking, and I didn't really check credentials, or I didn't look in certain things, or okay, so I just wanted to do it. Just make sure that you do that background verification and make sure you're not investing in something that's not going to invest in you or it's not going to pay you back. I also would say there's nothing wrong with being like extremely motivated, but just make sure that you're always cautious, especially if you want to start really young. There's a lot of promotions or schools that will like allow 16-year-olds and 17, quote unquote minors in some states perform for you. But just make sure that you're being cautious and making sure they're taking care of you at the same time. And be a listener. I learned that very early on too. I was very hyperactive, and I used to talk a lot, and I didn't always listen. And I kind of had to learn the hard way a couple occasions about just being there to be a listener, because people will tell you so much without you even having to really like ask them. And it's just like you need to absorb it to make sure you're there. And I last thing I would say, just be confident. I felt like once I found my confidence, like no one could tell me anything. Once I became confident, it was just like I was just a freight train moving forward. And that's probably been one of the best things that I've discovered as I got older, was just how to be confident, because I had so many insecurities, and you know, a lot of times you'll hear a lot of no's or a lot of weird things, so case may be. But once I believed in myself wholeheartedly, I couldn't be deterred. So those are kind of some of the things that I would suggest to a little girl, realistically, who wants to do this. And it's not impossible, it's very possible. And I'm excited to make sure that who's ever following me will see all the possibilities that can come from it.
Okay. That sounds good. Now, on a side note, since you bring up Shimmer, what the first show that you recall, who was working the main event? Hard question, testing your memory.
Yeah, that's a doozy. I'm going to say, I cannot for the life of me remember her opponent. I do believe it was like, maybe it was a tag team match I'm remembering, but I think it was like Sarah Del Rey. I feel like I remember Sarah Del Rey, Mercedes Martinez, and I feel like they were having a tag match, or they were either competing against each other. They filmed so many, in one night you can, I think they used to film like 2 to 4 volumes. So it gets a little disjointed. But I believe it was either I knew it was Sarah Del Rey and Mercedes Martinez. I can't remember if they were competing or were they tag teaming, because that was something they used to do back then. But I was enamored. I was a huge Sarah Del Rey fan, and I was a huge Mercedes Martinez fan. Of course, Sarah Del Rey is now with WWE, and Mercedes Martinez actually just made a return recently in the last year to professional wrestling. She took about 2 years, almost 3 years off.
Yeah.
And I didn't think she was coming back, but she's back, and I'm ecstatic.
I was very happy for her when she came back and won the Shimmer Championship, which was
Absolutely.
which I thought was long overdue. I tend to agree with some of her colleagues when they say that the fact that she hasn't been signed somewhere is a crime. She's incredibly talented. But we'll move on. I don't want to turn that into the Mercedes praise hour for a little bit, but
I'll be right along with you. Right.
well, I'm glad we agree with that. Let's talk about the training. You just spoke about finding a proper place to go when you was talking to the young ladies out there, but you settled on training here in Atlanta, Georgia, WWA 4. I think currently run by AR Fox. At one point run by Mr. Hughes. I don't know which version of that you entered underneath. But tell me why you picked them and your experiences with the school so far.
I chose WWA 4 because I did my research, and one of the things I was looking for when I was making an educated decision about where I was going to go next was, who have they produced, or what are some of the people who have come from the school, what are they doing now? And, doing some research, you got to see different variations, either from WWE to Impact Wrestling to, big indies, and they had people who were able to kind of find success on each bracket. So that was important to me. I initially entered under Mr. Hughes. So I did do a good part of my training with him. Of course, like you said, AR Fox is the head trainer there now. My experience, especially in like the last 6 to 8 months, has been wonderful. It's been one of those type of environments now where it's like I've been there. I started at WWA4 in 2014. However, after like 2 months, I was injured and I took off almost a year. So I didn't return back to WWA4 until April of 2015. April of 2015. So from then on, I trained pretty much every single day that they had it open, and as often as I could, until my debut. And of course, now I still actively train on a regular basis too. But it's been wonderful because I know my injury would have deterred some people, but during that time, I kind of had a chance to refocus, and that's really where that time off, I found that confidence. So when I went back to actively train, it was just like, I believed in myself so much. Everyone could see it, and everything I did just clicked. And especially where Foxy's been so dedicated to ensuring that we are at the best that we can be, and dedicated to making sure that we are who we want to be in wrestling. You know, we're not just like wrestler A or wrestler B. He allows us to kind of create our characters or personas or whatever the case may be, and he allows us to flourish. For me, who I am, the persona of the Duchess, the air of the Duchess, is like a lot of people. It's kind of like, it's me, but it's cranked up a little bit. And I got to really explore those intricate parts of my brain that would make me do certain motions and stuff like that. But he's just been very, very good at training us and letting us be who we are and helping us develop who we want to be. It's been, like I said, he's been great for the WWA4 school, because and the thing about him that makes him so interesting is he's so actively active. You know what I mean? He's
still out there doing it.
He's out there like every single week, and he will go to a show and drive 14 hours. He did it just this past week and drive 14 hours, and then he'll drive 14 hours back. But then he'll go directly into the school to open the school up to go ahead and have us doing our thing. So I was just like, this guy is a machine. He's crazy, but he's so obsessed with wrestling. He loves wrestling so much, and that's another thing. Just seeing someone who's just so in love with it. I mean, it's so motivating, because that's all he thinks about. That's all he breathes. That's all he eats, and it just inspires you. So he's just been really good, because you see someone who's actively making it and still is here helping other people try and do it and try to make it. It's been wonderful just to be a part of it.
Okay, and through that, you touched on an unfortunate portion of your career injury, which is I guess something that plagues a lot of wrestlers over the years. Would you care to discuss? Well, I'm assuming that this is a second injury, or is this the same one? Because you talked about one that happened that kept you out for about a year and a half, 2 years, and now you have one currently. So would you care to discuss those?
The injury I incurred that took me out from my training, like when I was only like 2 months in, was actually not related to wrestling. Oh. I actually got into a car accident. And I got into a car accident. And I already had some issues with my back, but then it re-aggravated it, some injuries to my back. And at that point, I thought I was going to have to give it up altogether, because your back, of course, is very important, and it's very hard to be able to do this if you don't have, that right there for you. And that took me out for a while, and I wanted to make sure before I came back from that I was as healthy as possible. I didn't want any further, excuses, because that's the problem I've always had over the last 5 or 6 years, is that I would incur injuries or things of that nature, and I would come back too quickly, and instead of them getting better, they would get even worse. And now it's like, I have to be out for a year, or I have to be out for 2 years. So I took the time to make sure I came back from that safely. And I haven't had really any issues with my back, which is funny, but I haven't had any issues with my back going forward. The injury I have now is a shoulder injury. Partial dislocation of my shoulder. I did it on Monday. During practice. just didn't properly get the elevation I was supposed to get. It was all on me. And then I kind of spiked it, and I just felt my shoulder pop out of place. And then I rolled through on the spike, and it put it back in place. So initially, I didn't think I dislocated my shoulder because I've done it before. And I was just like, no, because it's fine. But I put it right back in place after I just put it back in place unintentionally. And so I had to go to the hospital, and they were like, yeah, 4 to 6 weeks. And I was like, no, can't do that. And the thing about it is that I've dislocated my shoulders on several occasions. I'm double jointed, so they kind of do that anyway. So I was trying to explain that to my doctor, but they weren't listening. So I'm sore, and it hurts. But I know my body in regards to my shoulders because I've experienced it before. So I know my timetable better on that than I think my doctor does, because it's too normal. It's normal for me, but it really hurts. But it's okay. I'll get over it. Just gotta make sure I keep stretching, taking my medication. I'll be okay.
Okay, and so get you some DDP yoga in.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, stretch that thing out. Now, you know, we talked about your shoulder injury there. Now, here's the part 2 of that. You apparently wrestled on this injury. What's today? Was last night? Was that last night that you did that?
It was last night, yeah.
As we are recording this podcast, it is Friday morning. And last night on Thursday, which WWE4 does a show every Thursday, you were on that card. You wrestled for the intergender championship against the Party Princess, Kayla Lynn. And would you like to pick it up from there?
And I took the title from her. Yeah, I find it kind of funny because it's like I was maybe 60%, and I think she was 100 probably. Like she likes to say, like 110%. And I still did what I needed to do to go ahead and take the intergender title. So I am the new WWA4 intergender champion. And it's where it should have been a long time ago. I mean, we had a really fun match. She is, as people will see once that match is released, I think she of course knew about my shoulder injury, and you will definitely see the fact that she tries to exploit that quite a bit. And this is everyone's beloved Party Princess. So, I mean, no one didn't say anything about that she exploited my injury, but, you know, it's okay, because I took a belt, I took a title, I took a championship, so the fact that she was playing dirty, you know, cool, because, you know, the title right now is hanging up in my room, so, you know, it's okay, but, yeah, I am the WWA4 intergender champion, and I beat Kayla Lynn when I was like 60%, so she should be proud of herself.
Well, you sound incredibly pleased, and I'm sure that a lot of this is due to the fact that you know that this interview is probably going to make its way back around to her. So, are these subtle? Well, I can't even say subtle. Are these blatant messages that you're putting off onto your opponent?
She and I have had numerous conversations. She knows my feelings when it comes to her. You know, I if anything, last night made it worse for her because now I've already have the title, so I have no real interest in even remotely trying to play nice with her. So going forward, Kayla just needs to watch it back, and I would just steer away from me altogether.
What is the source of the rivalry between yourself and Kayla Lynn?
I think a lot of it just comes down to the fact that, especially once I came back from injury, she came around soon after and joined the school, and it's just always been there. You know, she has that one-up mentality. We're both very, very competitive people. Her coming from amateur wrestling background, I'm coming from a boxing background. We both always kind of came from those athletic backgrounds, so I think there was just always a stigma about it. And honestly, some things, like she said, she's a party princess. I'm a lady, so certain things she just does, I just cannot, be comfortable about. I cannot be understanding of. She does things. She jumps on people's laps. She just makes me uncomfortable. And as a woman, as a lady, I find her to be a little off-putting, and I'm being polite.
Okay, and I appreciate the your being polite for the benefit of the podcast. I usually put this up as a family-friendly type deal, so thank you for being a lady in that regard. So,
Absolutely.
apparently, she has suffered defeat after I forget how long she's had it. She's had a quite the impressive run, but you are the new intergender champion for WWE. For the hierarchy of the championships that exist in the WWE, would that be considered the next tier from its main title, or is that the main title? How does that work?
I don't really know about a ranking system in regards to that, or what title is where you would like to put it at. I mean, of course, you're going to say the WWE for heavyweight championship is probably where the pinnacle for the school. But like there's two other titles, and I feel like after that, everything else is kind of like on an even playing field.
Well, how's that possible? And I asked that. Sorry to cut you off. I asked that because, to my understanding, the WWE title itself is only able to be contested amongst the guys. Is that correct, or does it have some leeway there?
See, I definitely am under no impression that it is only able to be contested by gentlemen, or maybe that was the case. I can see why that was the case. A lot of the girls are small and kind of fragile and things of that nature. But then you have someone like me who can kind of change any kind of stigma that title might have. Because I've been thinking about it, and after successfully getting this intergender title, I'm eyeballing that world championship. I don't see why not. I mean, I size up comparably to most of the guys there, so I don't see why we can't make it happen. So there may have been some kind of stigma or just an air of girls not wanting to even try to go for it, but that's not the Duchess. The Duchess has no fear. So I don't necessarily see it that way, but we'll see what happens in the future.
Oh, okay, fair enough. And I will end with this statement. I thought that the intergender championship may have had a slight edge, just based on the fact that anybody that's there could compete for it. I mean, it's basically an open title, and it draws, in my view, more challengers to it. But I'm sure AR Fox could straighten that situation out if he chose to let me know. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Yes. So we'll leave it on congratulations. You are the champion, and at a fresh point in your career. Is this your first championship of your career?
It is. About almost 5 months into my wrestling career, I've gotten my first title. It's a big deal for me, just because of the fact to know that there's many more to come. So I feel great knowing I got my first one within the first 6 months, and I have every intention of just collecting them at some point. So I like the way they look. I like the way they sit on my mantle. I mean, this is something I can definitely get used to.
Okay, fair enough. Real quick, you mentioned you have a boxing background in one of your earlier statements there. Can you go into that for a moment?
Yeah, this kind of plays into my father. He did boxing. My brothers all did boxing. I don't know if I was an extreme tomboy, if I was just a mimicker. But everything my brothers did, I wanted to do as well. I started training in it. It was basically like this. My mom wanted me to play the violin. My father wanted me to do, something active. So secretly, I would be going to violin training, and I would go into violin practice. And then soon after, we told my mom that it was longer than it was. He would sneak me off. I was like 7 or 8 years old. he would sneak me off and take me to the ring and start to show me different things and things of that nature. And I did it from like 7 or 8 to about 14 years old. Reason being that I didn't go further with it was because my mom figured out it's a dangerous sport. She didn't want to put me at risk or anything of that nature. And like once she found out about it, which was like 2 years before I kind of just gave up on it, I had gotten a couple of concussions mostly from training, but a couple of my matches as well. I incurred a couple. I think I had 3 or 4 at that time. And, you know, she pulled at the heartstrings. And I thought I was becoming concerned too because they were becoming more frequent and closer together. By the time I was 14, I had probably had about 7. And I had got like 3 concussions within the span of a year. So it was very deterring for me too. I loved it. I loved competing. I loved just training in, and I would always borrow my brothers too because I was a mad woman. I didn't know any better. I just wanted to be a guy so much, or wanted to be one of them so much. But yeah, after the 3 in succession, when I was 14 years old, I had to give it up. I wanted to get my golden glove. It's kind of an emotional thing for me because it.
It's all right.
Sorry. But it was something that I was very passionate about, and it kind of got taken away from me because I did not want to risk continuously having to go through that. And you know, I look back now and I almost think like if I would have just took time off, and I don't know, maybe I could have done it, but it's okay because that sets forth some toughness, and I think that's why I'm always just like I have this capacity of just getting back up, or an injury never really holds me down for too long, or I try to work around, or I find workarounds because that's what boxing kind of taught me. You're kind of actively always injured, and in wrestling it's the same way. Like a lot of times you're actively always nursing something, and the boxing definitely toughened me up. So when I finally was able to make my way to pro wrestling, I already had that mentality. It was just a point of making sure I didn't do anything or put my body into anything that would permanently cause any friction. So that's what boxing. I felt like boxing was going to lead to. If I would have kept actively going, it was going to lead to something crucial or really career-ending period for active combat sports. So I didn't want to do it, but such is life. I've moved on from it, but I still love it. I watch boxing religiously, so it's still very important to me. I actually don't talk about it that much because it's such a soft spot for me, but I still adore it. I want to be the next Layla Ali so bad, but it's okay. There will be another girl who does it, and I will support her wholeheartedly. So,
indeed, you'll be in a different field. You'll be in the pro wrestling ring, which I'm going to assume has provided some level of, it's not comparative. I mean, I guess I have to use the line from Lethal Weapon 4. You don't love one any more or less. It's just different, I'm assuming.
Absolutely. I would never be able to put one over the other. They were something that I would say I'm equally passionate about. But yeah, it's just, you know, different points in your life. I don't feel like I would have been able to do pro wrestling if I had never studied and trained and performed in boxing for 7 years. So they're both very intricate, and they both play off each other, and they're both, like I said, they're equally important to me.
Have you thought about working that path into your wrestling arsenal? It's happened on a number of occasions. There have been a number of guys who kind of come through different sports and somehow woven that into their wrestling persona. Has that ever crossed your mind? Have you? I know you just said you don't really talk about it that much, and I guess yay for me, we got an exclusive, boom. So has that ever crossed your mind to like, all right, let me see if this can fit into the wrestling world?
Right. Yes and no. I've thought about different ways that I could play homage to it, and in the near future, there will be certain tweaks that plays homage to what I was. I say no in the sense of the fact that I think I want to do it intelligently, and I want to do it in small ways. I don't want to have this glaring persona where all of a sudden I'm coming out here with gloves on or some way they're around my neck or I'm doing some kind of rocky pose or anything of the sort. I don't want it to be kind of a caricature because of the fact that it was something that was so dear to me. But I definitely have the intention of trying to weave it in very small ways that if you yourself is a fan or you yourself have competed and you're like, you will see it and you'll be like, I see what you're doing there. So I never want to be glaring with it because I don't want it to ever become this thing where it's like I'm known for that component of my life. So it's just, this is why it's taken me a while to kind of figure out how to go about it, because I want it to be so subtle, and I want it to just be something that people who are actually fans, not just anyone, can see it and they'll be like, oh, what does that mean? Like, I want to know more. Like, did she do it? I don't know. So I definitely will be having some tweaks coming along in the near future to kind of showcase that.
That's probably very smart now that I think about it. I mean, or now that you explain it that way. I know that, yes, there have been guys that, like I said, come from other sports and kind of woven that into the fabric of who they are, but I can certainly understand your concern with that overwhelming your personality and that be the thing that you're known for. And
right.
I certainly, as I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking about guys like, and no slight to them, Mark Mero, who became Marvelous Mark Mero, and Ken Shamrock, and Mojo Rawley, who all come from different backgrounds. And I think that's ultimately who they became in the ring. If he came from football, then he's, basically on football. So, yeah, probably smart on your part.
Yeah.
One of the things that they say in pro wrestling is that you get better based on the competition that you've been in the ring with. In your 5 to 6 months, you've covered a pretty fair gambit, I would say, ranging from Aja Super Pereira, Dimension of Rose, the aforementioned Party Princess, and you have some other opponents coming up due to the events that you take a part of. I forgot Blackwell, Angel Blackwell, her as well. Who's the toughest? We'll two-part this. Who's the toughest, and who's been the one that you've learned the most from in the ring thus far? As an opponent, not a trainer, as an opponent.
Whew.
Tough question.
Yeah, it's a tough question. Because I wanted to kind of give that to both of those titles to one person.
Well, see, that would be cheating. That's why I brought it up.
Yeah. In regards to who I've competed against, I'll keep it strictly related to women. I think there's definitely been shines and glimmers when it came to things in me and Aja, and which is why I'm looking forward to doing something else, because me and her did things together very early in my career. And I've definitely grown, and she's definitely grown, and I'm looking forward to kind of having another kind of matchup in the near future where we can kind of show where we've grown at. But there's some things about her that I've noticed that it's such a level of toughness. And I think that a lot of times she gets downplayed for certain things that she does and little things that she does in the ring and things of that nature. But I always saw it. And she's very, very tough. And I love the fact that she's the type of person I can go into the ring and I'm not going to feel scared or weird suggesting or wanting to do certain things with her. She's just a gung-ho type of person. And, like, she has such a fire and spirit about her that, like, I don't think everyone is still getting it. And I'm just hoping and and looking forward to seeing what else she does in her career. Because when I first even moved down here, before I even started at WWA 4 training, me and her and a handful of other people who are active on the Georgia scene would kind of join up together and like have these sessions with each other. And she's just always been that person. I'm like, she's consistent. She's a tough girl. She's stronger than people think she is. She's stronger than she gives herself credit for. And I would definitely say that she showed signs of things that I look forward to being able to explore more, being across from her. As far as people that I've learned the most for, fortunately, it has been Kayla Lynn. The fact that we have such a kind of like a rivalry, every single time we've kind of met back up in the ring, we've always wanted to do more and to push ourselves more and to showcase different things and to showcase different parts of us. And I don't think I get that from anyone else the way that I get it from her. Like, I just want to be better. You know, I just want to be her better. I want her to look at me and for her to acknowledge that at some point. But nevertheless, she pushes me. And she pushes me to want to learn more, to do more, because of the fact that she's always learning more and she's always doing more. And I mean, I may not like her, but I got to give her credit when credit's due. So she's definitely been like the driving force in my evolution in the last 6 months. I mean, if we looked at our first match and we look at what we tried, there's been so many intricate changes and so many intricate things that we've just grown. And I wouldn't have done that if I didn't dislike her. Because if I liked that, I don't think I would care to work that hard, you know? But because I just want to work extremely hard, shut her down, and make sure she knows that just I'm superior, I'm greater than the symbol, all of that. So I definitely give that title to Kayla Lynn.
Okay, so in the case of yourself and Kayla Lynn, we're not talking like, but we are talking respect.
Absolutely.
Okay. That is a fair assessment, and as far as your words about Aja Pereira, you know, I guess I would have to agree that she doesn't quite get the credit that she deserves as of yet. I've always looked at her as a bit of a monster slayer. It seems like whatever place that she's gone, she's most often matched up against the larger, crazy, the quotation marks around supernatural. She's had a run of Tragedy Ann, Mrs. Belmont, Dimension Rose, yourself. You know, it's been down the line of just obstacle. So, if I were going to make a best of video featuring her, if I had access to every single match that she ever did, that probably would be the title. Super Pereira, Monster Slayer. So,
now that you say that, though, that's super accurate. That poor girl.
Almost every big match I've seen her in, it does, maybe with the exception of Jesse Brooks, that's the only like pure wrestler incarnation I've seen her go against that I can remember recently. Even when she went up to Valkyrie, I forget the young lady's name, but she had some promo where she was basically saying, "I got to win at wrestling in order for me to get back into heaven." Not her words, but still. If that doesn't come off as a little bit loopy, then I don't know what does. And I'll remember her name for the people out there listening. If you're trying to look her up, I promise I'll put it up in the description of this video if I don't see it. Moving on, let's talk about your promo, which has connected you to I guess, new wrestling promotion / seminar that's taking place November 10th under the title Rise. If you have not, and this for the people that's listening, if you haven't seen the Duchess sitting on her throne with cane in hand, speaking to the camera as to who and what she is, then you need to go look that video up. But we're going to get it from her mouth right now. If you have to summarize what you were talking about, please do.
Okay. Well, in that video, which has gotten some eyes on me, what I was stating are a lot of obvious things about me. I felt the need to go ahead and inform the public of who I am, who I've always been, who I will be, and who I will be if they are ever across from me in the ring. I felt the need to establish the Duchess. People do not know me. I realize that I'm new and I'm hungry, and that's what that video was really, really showcasing: how hungry I am, and how I need to be someone that anyone needs to be concerned about. I am a woman of stature. I am a woman of poise. I am a woman of great complexities. And that video was to go ahead and let people know of just a little bit of what the layers, if pulled back, can showcase in regards to the Duchess Ayzali. The cane you're referring to, his name's Andromedon. He's more than just a cane. But we didn't get too deep into that in the video. I was trying to, sooner or later there may be a second one or a third one come out that will tell a little bit more about my relationship with Andromedon. But I was just going ahead and establishing and making sure that the public knew that come November 10th, when I come to Chicago, Illinois, a place I'm very familiar with, I spent my teenage years there, that they need to watch out. They need to go ahead and make sure they're prepared to take what they're going to take. Unfortunately, it probably will be my A to Z driver. And to know for sure that I have no intentions of coming there to make friends or coming there to be jovial or any of the sorts. I am there to go ahead and make my name off of their expense. And hopefully for those young ladies who's going to be at the seminar along with me, they got the picture. If not, they will. There's still a lot of time.
Okay. Would you say that talking is one of your strong suits? You sound very comfortable with it, especially at that point.
I don't know if I would say, well, I definitely would say talking is my strong suit, but talking about me is my strong suit. I have such faith in who I am, such high belief, such standards, quota, whatever the case may be, in who I am. It's just very easy to kind of to be a wordsmith when you're talking about something that you just know is just all is, which is all I am. I'm an encompassing figure. I have every intentions of being that. I have every intentions of being someone that everyone can see and immediately know that this is someone that we need to respect. So when I talk about myself, yes. In general, am I clever? Am I a wordsmith? Am I able to put words together and string them along and have them make sense? Of course. But when we talk about who I am and what I am, I can go on and on about me, and you will be entertained the entire time. That's just who I am.
Indeed. And apparently Andromedon is, I guess you would be the mouthpiece for him as well. And anybody that is curious about her cane, Andromedon, as she was just informed us, he would be the gentleman with the steampunk glasses and the little top hat at the top of the cane, I assume. Is that?
He's so much more than that. But
he's okay.
Yes, we can use that. That's a descriptive term for him. You know. Okay. Presently, I'm his mouthpiece, but I've been hearing whispers from Andromedon lately, and he kind of was the reason why I think I won the title at WWE 4, because he's been getting in my head a bit. But nevertheless, that's another story for another day.
Okay, you know you're going to concern me after a while. Tragedy already has someone that she has to speak for currently, the Dolly. I don't know if Andromedon has that type of influence over you currently, but
No.
no,
It's a
okay,
partnership. Yeah, no.
okay, just trying to make sure I understand. And for those that I just said that I would remember, the Clockwork Angel, Katred. There you go. So if you want to find that match, go look it up. She's a nut. I was trying to find some nice way to say it, but no, there's really no nice way to put that. So we will move on back to the Duchess, and she's starting to concern me with her mental well-being a tad, but we won't go into that right now.
I'm a lady. Lady, like, come on. You can't be concerned about what a lady, you're concerned about nothing. Continue.
Okay. No, fair enough. We'll continue. I don't want to offset your prim and proper demeanor right now. So Rise, quick plug, November 10th, for anyone that is there. For the people that are unaware of what it is, to the best of your knowledge, can you describe what it is? Because from my understanding, it is kind of a hybrid thing. I don't know if this is a 2-day event or is it a taping? Is it just a seminar that's going to be recorded? How do you know what it is at this particular moment?
From my understanding, what Rise is going to be I believe it's going to be about 30, maybe a little bit more, different participants from all over the country, and I believe there's actually a girl coming from Italy. So it's a bunch of girls who are relatively newer to wrestling. What's going to happen is there's going to be a seminar. The seminar is going to be led by Saraya Knight and Colt Cabana. They will be basically like the mentors during the seminar process. After we go ahead and have the seminar, what's going to happen is they're going to choose 10 to 12 of the ladies from the seminar to go on and have show, to be a part of the show. They will have matches. The show will run later that evening, either, I can't remember, maybe 7 or 8 p.m. They're selling tickets for it. So the tickets are very, very reasonable. I believe like front rows like 10, general admissions like $5. And it's really like for a precursor because Shimmer Weekend is the following. This is on Thursday, and of course Shimmer Weekend pretty much starts the following day. So it's pretty much for people who's going to be there already, or if you would like to come just for it. But you're going to get to see a lot of talent in the female pro wrestling that you may not be aware of, who haven't appeared in some of the bigger promotions yet, but who may be ready to do so. So I'm excited. I think it's a captivating idea. As soon as I heard about it, I knew I had to be a part of it. And I'm just honestly, I'm like shaking at the brims to meet some of these ladies because, certain girls have released promos as well. And, some of them I'm very interested in meeting. And some of them I kind of want to meet for different reasons. So I'm excited. Anyone who's going to be in the Chicago area, Thursday, November 10th, should come. I mean, it's like I said, $5 for general admission, $10 for front row seat. I mean, seriously. And I'm telling you, a lot of these girls, they may not be known, but that doesn't mean they're not good. There's a lot of very, very talented girls who have been listed and named. At this point, I think we have 30 participants whose names have been revealed. And this is going to be a big deal. They got a commentary team. Veda Scott, who's a very well-known name in women's wrestling, will be a part of the commentary team. This is going to be something that's going to, I think, leave a very, very big mark, and it's going to make a heck of an impression. And I'm glad I'm part of the inaugural class coming in for this. So it's, if you can, please support, enjoy, and more than likely, you will see the Duchess on the show. So I definitely would like to say just be there just to see me. That's enough of a reason.
Well, that it is enough of a reason. But in the interest of fairness, not to go around you, but in the interest of fairness, we will mention a few other names that have tossed their names into the hat, if you will. I believe Tess Valentine, the Black Widow Eve, Angel Dust, A young lady I had the benefit of doing the podcast with, I think about a year ago, the Fallen Flower, Kikyo Nakamura, MJ Jenkins, Delilah Doom, Stacey Shadow, Sonya Strong. So that there is, and of course yourself, the Duchess, and that's just a few that I'm naming. If you want to see the rest, I guess you'd have to make some plans to attend and see them. And given the prices that you're talking about, yeah, that's extremely reasonable. If I were in the Chicago area, I'd probably just go ahead and get me front row seats. I mean, $10 it's not gonna burn a hole in my pocket. So that's a wonderful event. But before that event, you have something else that's coming up, which is a pretty big deal. Wrestling for a Cause, which takes place on the 15th of October. And I don't know if you can get much better than Wrestling for a Cause. I mean, it's right there in the title. So, what is your connection? Do you even know who your opponent is? Let me start with that. Has it been unveiled to you who you might match up against at this event?
Nah, absolutely not. I'm just as curious as you are. I have no idea, which is fine. I honestly, it's fine. I'm really looking forward to this event, just for the simple fact that there's a lot of girls that I've never, at this point in my career, had a chance to compete against. So there's so many different options that has never happened before for me. So I'm ecstatic, and also the fact that it's for breast cancer, which is another one of the things I don't want to get too deep into, but that's something that has affected people in my family. And so it's something that's very personal for me. So the cause in itself was more than enough of a reason for me to be a part of it. But I don't know who I'm going to wrestle yet. It's a tournament style. They're going to be crowning their first women's champion. We've seen the belt. I like the belt. I would like to collect the belt. I'm in the business of doing that right now. So I don't know, but I'm excited. I'm probably going to win because that's just who I am, and I don't really care who my opponent is. I'm just looking forward to it. And like I said, all proceeds, go to the benefit of breast cancer. So why not? I mean, seriously, I don't see why anyone wouldn't. Like, you're a terrible person if you don't. So please do.
All right. Well, a terrible person. Hey, I'm not going to argue that point. I will say that you can't go wrong, even if you just want to send money and support the event. If you can't be there, that's probably a really good thing to do. I know that this is taking place in Elizabethtown, North Carolina. Looking at the ticket prices, general admission $10, ringside is $12. So still, as most indie shows are, fairly reasonable. A lot of great talent that's going to be on that card as well. A little bit more well-known for those who need to have a name. Darcy Dixon is going to be there, former Resistance Pro champion. One of my favorites, Thunder Rosa. She will be there. I love that name. Ronnie Nicole. She's going to be there. Casey Carlisle, the Duchess, Ariel Monroe, and Savannah Evans, the Sexy Young Caramels. I guess you have to toss in Devin Nicole along with that. The Party Princess will be making her way up as well, which is going to be interesting considering you two will be in the same building at the same time. Could be that y'all may be paired off against each other in this tournament.
That's a possibility. For some reason, my brain has not even tried to consider, so I'm going to keep it that way.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and make an open suggestion. I'm just going to put this out into the universe as far as matchups for the Duchess. And I'm going to give two offhand. First, again, Thunder Rosa, young lady out from the West Coast. That's the first matchup that I would might want to see happen, at that event. Secondly, if you want to test your strength or test your might, if you will, we'll try the She-Hulk of the South, Big Bang, Ronnie Nicole. I find that could be the sleeper match.
You know what? I can get behind those. Make it happen. Book it. Let's do it. Let's do it.
I wish I had that kind of booking. I'm afraid I do not. Sorry, but maybe.
She just came from a Japan tour. I would love to see and test myself against someone like Ronnie Nicole, just because of the fact that she has always been kind of that way. But then Japan, I'm sure, just made it worse. So why not? Go hard or go home.
Well, I picked her because I'm pretty sure it's not often that you step in the ring with someone who is of equal strength, perhaps. So that could be an interesting matchup just in and of itself. Rosa carries a different style, and I like the idea of putting you up against someone who carries a different style just to see how you adapt. So
I'm with you.
That could be fun. Goals in the business. You have to get that out. Short term, at least. Let's start with your short term goals.
Short term.
Short term.
I think it's, of course, to keep on getting it out there. I took, the month of September has been basically a hiatus month for me. I didn't want to take any outside bookings aside from the WWE for school, just for the fact that I was nursing some injuries, and look what I did. I got another one. But short term, I want to go ahead and get out there more. I think even though I haven't been going at it that long, my drive and my progress, in my opinion, has been significant each and every single month. Each and every single month, I'm just seeing myself develop. So I want to get out there. I want to collect belts, honestly, because even, at the end of the day, I'm nearly 6 feet tall. I'm 5'11". I got size on me. Honestly, most people can't really hold a card to me. So it's not hard to just go around here collecting titles. But I just want to go ahead and get as active as possible, get seen in as many places as possible, and be able to work different kind of caliber of talent to go ahead and increase. Like you said, a lot of who you are and your growth is indicative of who you are across from. And I definitely want to go ahead and get across from as many girls, from as many styles and many variations to go ahead and make me work even harder. So those are my short-term goals. That's what I want to do in the next 3 to 6 months. That's my ultimate goal. Just active, being extremely active. I want people to know my name. That's my goal.
Okay. Certainly not lacking in the department of confidence. That is for certain.
Someone has to be confident. You can't be insecure. Come on.
And you are very confident. The last thing within that would be your long-term goals. Now, most people have very similar long-term goals simply because in the professional wrestling world, there's only 3 or 4 places that you can work and earn a full-time living in this country. So we're going to ask you and see if there's anything different. Do you have any long-term goals that will surprise us?
I think.
Probably not.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, honestly, well, if I'm speaking honestly, honestly, I just would like to, next couple of years, become as international as possible. I definitely would like to go back home into England and wrestle there and perform there and build kind of a following there. I would love to go to Japan and build a following and make myself there in the next couple of years. Honestly, I ultimately, you want to go to one of the big companies, as you say, but and of course I do as well. But I'm so keen right now on just trying to be as good and as clean and as polished as possible. I just want to take the next couple of years just exploring and growing. I have a birthday coming up this Monday, September 12th.
Hey.
I'll be 24. So I'm really right now, I'm in the prime of my life. These are some of my best years. And I just want to actively make sure I am the best that I can be, most complete that I can be, before I go shooting any kind of weird, big goals. But next couple of years, I just want to be international. There's so many girls I look up to in this business, and then I looked up to when I was 15, 16, going to my first, all women shows. And I just want to be able to say, hey, look, fans, I'm in New Zealand. Hey, look, I'm in, Germany. Hey, look, that's what I want to be in the next 2 to 3 years. That's my goal.
That sounds doable.
Mm-hmm.
I think you will make that happen.
Oh, I know. I will.
Fantasy booking.
There we go. And, we have come now to the point of the podcast where it is time for fantasy booking. This is the point where I ask my guests, book your ideal angle and or storyline against whomever and whenever. I just like to put people on the spot with that type of stuff. So, and I'm going to go a step further with you because we're going to disqualify the Party Princess because y'all have a long-term rivalry in that right now. So we're going to try to get a new name put into this storyline or angle. So if you have a storyline that's kind of lingering in the back of your head, like, this is the story I want to pitch.
So we were talking about a story.
Well, like I said, if you can't think of that, however you can present it, because I know some people get stumped when I say that.
Oh no, I'm not stumped.
You're not? Okay, well, all right.
Something that I've always been wanting to do, and because of the fact that my head's been getting a little bit disjointed because of Andromedon and other things kind of influencing me as of late. I want to do something where I have the ability to not take over, but I want to be able to kind of build my own small army. I used to actually be in the army. I'm a veteran. And I would like to be able to kind of entrance some people into kind of doing my bidding and doing certain things for me. That's always been something I look forward to. I want to have my own personal, like a hit squad. I'm not sure what to call it, but I would love to go ahead and get some of the top guys, girls, whoever, but I want them to be under my command. And if there was anything that I wanted to do, I definitely want to do that. I'm going to do that too. I don't know when or how, and the circumstances have to be proper, but I think once I get really stabilized into a certain, organization, once they allow me to go ahead and come in and kind of wreak havoc, I have every intention of kind of building up, kind of like, I don't know. But I want people to be I want to be a leader. I want to have followers. I want people to praise me, and I want people to do my bidding. I don't think that's so bad. I mean, don't you want that as well? I'm
not going to say that I want that.
You didn't say no, though, see?
No, I didn't say no. I mean, being a leader is not necessarily a bad thing. I don't know if putting me in praise and that type of thing might be a bit much. I tend to believe that is an interesting goal to attend. There's two things I got out of that. One, how'd you let me go through this podcast and not mention that you're a veteran already? And two, I'm not sure if that's Andromedon talking through you or you talking yourself.
I mean,
Well, let me put it this way.
Once you kind of get something implanted, it's my brain's in a weird place lately. You're making me think too much. You're challenging things. You're making my head hurt. Let's move forward.
Whatever Andromedon is telling you, don't listen.
I'm here. Let's
Now I will say this in relation to your fantasy booking, which is very good. In terms of entertainment, I have to applaud it. That was pretty well done. I'm going to ask: have you seen the movie The Avengers, the first one, not Age of Ultron, but first one?
I have.
You have. All right. So now let's take the extra step here. Do you recall what Loki was running around doing with his cane?
I don't.
Scepter, I should say. Sorry, I don't want to call his tool the wrong name. His scepter.
I mean, this is interesting that you're bringing this up. Honestly, I remember. I'm not certain as to why you felt the need to do. Are you trying to? I mean, are you trying to say something without saying it? I don't know if I don't know if you and I are on the same page, because what he was doing and what I'm not doing anything yet. I don't know what you're talking about. So.
Well, I have to ask because what you described sounded quite familiar. I want to be followed and praised and this and that, and all it took for him to get that was a tap on the heart with that scepter, and they fell in line.
You see,
I don't know if Andromedon is capable of that. I'm just saying.
Well, what I'm saying is that when I say that I'm going to be able to make this happen, yeah, there's a foolproof plan for that. I can't go out here revealing any secrets, but you'll see. Well, they will all see, and it'll be wonderful. They'll be thanking me. I'm helping people. I'm really doing good.
Well, when I was taught for writing, the rule of thumb with the villain is that they have to believe they're correct, and I'll leave it at that.
Sorry. But yes, I do want to make that clear. I am a veteran of the United States military. So, United States, America. I have dual citizenship because both my parents were military, and I was born on a military base. But I just need to bring that back to that because that is something I'm very proud of.
Well, thank you. Well, I'm glad you brought that back around, and I don't know if that information been put out there to most of your fan base yet.
I don't actively vocalize it, so it's not something I vocalize, but it's on some of my profiles. I'll just say like former military. I never really go into detail about it either, just because it doesn't really call for it. But yeah.
Well, no, I mean it's great that you brought it up. I mean, that's what these podcasts are for, to go in depth. That's why this is a little bit longer term than the on-camera stuff. We talk for a good while and get some good information out there about who you are, what you do, in and out of the ring. Some of the stuff you are talking about in the ring may be considered disturbing. The things that you've done outside are wonderful.
Thank you.
So, and normally I would add my touch onto the fantasy book, and I would book a whole different angle for it, but I think you have quite taken the cake. So I don't know if my influence is really necessary, other than what I said earlier, and that is there's a glaring similarity that I feel exists in that scenario, and I am concerned. And so for you, there will be one additional question in that fantasy booking. Of the people that you are looking to sway, are there any particular names that should be, that you would like to have in your army? Let's put it that way, and let's keep it relegated to the women's side of wrestling, if we can. I will say this. I'm really excited about the tournaments I'm doing, and I'm really excited about the rise that I will be doing as well, because there's so many potential candidates that I am just kind of foaming at the mouth to be able to just get to know, get to educate. I was really excited to learn more about Angel Dust because she's also former military, which
kind of placing the fact that someone like her and people like her and things of that nature, or most people who are former soldiers are malleable, and I like that. I was always a leader, so I don't really have that. That wasn't a part of me. I went straight in as a leader because I was an ROTC, so I don't really know how to be a follower, but others do. But as far as specifics, I don't know. But I just know that I have like a feeding ground in October and November of potential people I could be scouting to go ahead and allow to be influenced by me. Huh?
A feeding ground. I'm just listening to the verbiage here. That's interesting use of words, we'll say. So for those ladies that happen to be attending these events along with the Duchess, I would say if she brings her cane around you, you may want to move in the opposite direction. Yes.
Just refer to them as Andromedon.
Okay, well, see, they don't know who Andromedon is. If I'm going to make this statement,
I feel like you're helping them. I don't know whose side you're on, and it's making me a little uncomfortable.
Okay, I apologize. I just, I'm concerned about some of these events that you're foretelling. I'm now concerned greatly about the Party Princess because there's always, I don't know if you're a comic book reader or not. Judging by some of the attire on occasion, I would say that there's at least a vague familiarity with it. So
more than vague, but yes.
More than vague. Okay. Well, there's one thing that has always been kind of the ongoing theme in comics is that sometimes these rivalries can result in respect, in which y'all have already reached that stage, which can also blossom out to the next phase, which can either be one is swayed to the other. Now, who would be the one to do it in this particular instance? I don't know. She might take you out drinking one night and you just say, hey, I've been all wrong. I need to just enjoy life and, sit back and have some of these margaritas and put Andromedon down for, a little while and enjoy myself. Or, the other side of that coin is you might put Andromedon across her forehead, her eyes may go black, and then next thing I know, she's just following your every word.
Interesting.
Again, fair warning. So,
gosh,
Ayla, watch out.
I feel like we're just trying to find your ways and revealing me and things. I don't like this. This is making me uncomfortable. Okay. I hope we're nearing the end because I feel like I've been exposed a little bit.
Well, most of these interviews do expose to a degree, but I'm not going to expose you too much because I certainly don't want to offset your plans. That is not my job. As an interviewer, I'm supposed to remain unbiased. This is probably the most bias I've shown in any given interview ever. So
why me?
That's a good question. I don't know. It might be that it might be Andromedon. At this distance, it may just be causing me a slight headache, which makes me do that.
I don't know his intentions all the way, so
okay.
We'll talk about it. I'll discuss it with him. I don't know.
So,
if that's the case, well, hey, the more the merrier.
So we will, skip off of fantasy booking because that topic has now become disturbing, and we'll go to the last bit, random questions.
It's time for random questions.
This is the part where I ask things that don't necessarily have to do with wrestling whatsoever. Simply because, just because. So, boxing or MMA? I know the answer to this, but I'm asking it anyway.
Boxing. Pretty easy.
That was an easy one for you, right?
Yeah. I like this. Is this going to be this easy? Come on, let's go.
Well, they're not all supposed to be this easy. There are other ones. Give me a match that you have no intentions of ever participating in. Ah.
A scrap match. Do they still do those? I don't know if they still do those, but I would never want to partake in that.
A what match?
Scrap.
Scrap?
Scrap? Scrap? Is that how to say it? Scrap. Sorry. You know, like the scrap matches they used to have long time ago. With what was it, the touch four corners? How does that work?
Oh, the strap match. Yeah, the strap.
Yeah.
Really? You wouldn't do that? I'm surprised.
Nah. You would think I would, right? You think like it'd be right up my alley, but no, thank you.
No, I expected you to say something like, I don't want to do the fluorescent tube, death match, needles and barb, all that crap. I expected one of those, fire, something along those lines.
I'm not against it.
Oh, all right. Well, then, for those promoters out there, pay attention. The last terrible movie that you saw.
I watch so many movies. I'm a bit of a movie buff.
Well, that's fine. That goes up my alley. So.
Oh, Sausage Party. I didn't like it.
Really?
Maybe uncomfortable.
Okay. So was it bad because it was uncomfortable, or was it bad because it just was a bad movie? There lies the question.
I would say there was a lot of good in that movie. The ending just kind of killed any of the good I had previously saw. It was like my brain just deleted. Delete. All of that just went. It just was like, when I saw the ending, I was like, no, this is no. I was like, the person I went with, he had seen it before, and like I was like, if you would have told me this, we would have went and seen anything but this. Because it's like that. Like it could be like an actor, or that an actor can ruin a movie for me, or a singular scene can ruin an entire movie for me. So it's just like my brain automatically shuts off when I say something that is just like vulgar. I'm a lady. That was. I don't know if you've seen it, but
I have not seen Sausage Party. I mean, but you have to know going into it that it's going to be vulgar. I mean, it's Sausage Party.
Okay, I need you to see that. I need you to see that movie and tell me if you thought it was a little much at the end. The last 10 minutes was just like, what? Cut this off. So people I said it to, like, you should have expected it. No.
I will watch it and I'll let you know if it's too much. Now I will add my 2 cents to say the worst movie that I've seen recently, Independence Day. Was it Resurrection? Resurgence.
Oh, you went and seen that? Wow.
I do my my summer blockbuster tour every summer, and that was part of the tour. And for those that are listening, that movie was incredibly bad. There was no redeeming value in that thing whatsoever. It was awful. And the fact that they even got to the end and even suggested that they were going to do a third one is just insane. So, anyhow,
I believe
pleasure
you.
Food. Yes, if you have to come across it on TV, then you're fine. But no, it's just it was ridiculously bad. But yes, that is the next random question. Guilty pleasure food.
Guilty pleasure. What was that?
Food. A food that you have gone to eat knowing that I should not be having this.
I'm okay. So I was going to say ice cream, but the way I make my ice cream just makes it even worse. So I'll get an ice cream that has like the fixings, like Reese cups and swirls and things of that nature. And then this is really like, especially now because I've been dieting lately, this is really like something that I've kind of strayed away from. But then I'll go ahead and I'll buy like brownies or I usually get brownies, then I'll get like a bag of M&Ms, and then I'll get some like honey roasted nuts, mixed nuts, and it's a guilty pleasure for a reason, and I just mix them all in with each other, and it's so good, but it's so, and you know what's weird? I discovered it while I was in the freaking military. I was in the military, and they used to feed some of the stuff they fed us I didn't get it, but I used to eat that. It was frozen yogurt though, which I guess makes it slightly better. But
now
I came out
with the ice cream.
Yeah, I came out with that. I left the service with that habit. I was just like, I know you used to mix these things together, but like it would always be there. You just like, well, what if I throw this in and throw that in? I'm like, holy crap, this is amazing. So it's my guilty pleasure. I probably try not to have that no more than once a month. It's so gluttonous. Oh gosh, my heart.
Terrible. Terrible. You know, for your benefit of giving you some kind of leeway in that guilt, I'm going to say Andromedon is subtly influencing you to do those things.
Yes, we can definitely blame Andromedon for that. I agree. All Andromedon.
Lastly, here's your adult question: beer or wine, or fruit drinks, as like your rival likes to do. Fun, fruity drinks.
Fruit drinks. Come on.
Hey,
yeah. Look, she's.
I have to lump it all in one category. So I mean, I could say margaritas or margaritas or whatever. I
know what you're referring to. I am definitely I'm definitely fond of wine, champagne. If I do drink, I don't drink much. But if I do indulge, I prefer for it to keep it light, to keep it bubbly, make an evening of it, That's how I like to have my drinks. And I will occasionally have some craft beers, but all in good measure. I've definitely reduced my alcohol intake, but as far as those fruity margarita party whatever stuff that people like Kayla, Lynn partake in, no, thank you. If it's bright and colorful, keep it away from me. Stay away. Goodbye.
So
I like her. You know how bright and colorful she is.
She's very colorful. I mean, but that's her gimmick. She is good for the people to see. She brightens their day. You have to give her that. She brings smiles.
Wow, they have low standards.
Oh, oof, ouch. Okay, well, on that note, for the promoters who want to catch you, please provide your contact, social media, and places where they can book you, and so on and so forth.
Of course. If you want to, my email address is Lady Ayzali, that is LadyAyzali @gmail.com. You can see me on my social media accounts. My Twitter and my Instagram are both under Ayzali Wali. That's AYZALIWALI. And in regards to my Facebook, it is, what is my Facebook right now? Ayzali Austin Ramirez. Any means, you can go ahead and reach out to me. I respond relatively quickly, or I have someone respond for me. I do have help. So either they or I will get back to you, and we can see what we can make happen.
And I guess for the benefit of those that might not be bookers, you may want to specify, please keep that in a business context. That's not the gateway for trying to, secure a date.
If they would like to go ahead and send those messages out, best believe I deter them very quickly. They get an automated reply from, like I said, my help. So this is mainly for business purposes, but if for some reason you are clever and would like to try to do other means, you will get like a blatant, like automated reply. Like I said, appreciate the support nonetheless, but this is for my benefit, my career.
Well, there we have it. So I think we've covered a lot of ground for a quickly done podcast. It came off very well, very revealing. I will say that it is a job well done, and I want to thank everybody that has stopped either on YouTube, on Podbean, or on iTunes to partake in this verbiage that the Duchess and I have been laying down for the past hour or so. And I'm sure she didn't even think that she had it in her.
No, I knew. No.
Oh, okay. Well, sorry. How dare I doubt you for that? Yeah. I don't know what I was thinking. You know, there is one thing that I did skip before I finally polish this off. Is there a superhero influence in your attire? I wanted to ask that.
I think it's kind of glaring, but I do other variations. But for my main core style, I am influenced by Nightwing. I'm going to be doing one very soon, which is in his traditional wear, which is the black and the blue. But I do find a lot of influence from comics and animations that I've watched growing up and read over the years and things of that nature. And he's always been one of my favorite characters. I'm not going to get into it because that's a part of me that they don't deserve to see. The quintessential nerdism of me that's not going to be exposed. However, I will say that he is a big influence in my gear and my style. So, and I'm going to continue that flow because, yeah, he's. Let's move on. I'm getting those little gleamy eyes where you talk about someone who's kind of like a hero in a sense. So we're not going to do that. Let's not indulge. But yeah,
you should have been at Dragon Con then.
I was supposed to be at Dragon Con.
Oh.
Listen, let's not. I don't want to talk about it. I was supposed to be at Dragon Con, but certain person in my life, certain person who's related to me, they know who, kind of got in the way of that. But nevertheless, I'm going to be going to some cons very soon. I used to cosplay on a regular basis. I was a regular cosplayer. So the Duchess is probably going to be whipping that back out. I just got to make sure that my schedule and people in my life, coincide. But don't remind me, please don't.
Okay, I won't go into that. I mean, I haven't gone to one since I didn't do last year. But I will say this for those that are listening that happen to like the comics and the animations and so on and so forth. I will make it a point to invite the Duchess back on to talk outside of the wrestling, where I'm going to dig into the nerdism that she has sworn to keep secret, because it seems very clear to me that, and I'm just going to go ahead and say she's probably a DC girl, so we'll leave it at that, leave that for the future, and I'll suggest her watching Superhero Beatdown so she can get her Nightwing fixed.
This guy.
I cover it all. What can I say? And hey, I've done multiple podcasts, including Fanboys Radio. That's a quick plug for me. Go on iTunes and listen to the archive episodes. Comic books, movies, and more, baby. I did it all. All right. Now, that said, I have done everything I needed to do on this podcast. It's been wonderful. For those that are following the Women's Pro Wrestling Network, please do appreciate the support in every means possible. Facebook, Podbean, iTunes, YouTube. It is the only way that I can get the stuff done that I do. Otherwise, I can't produce this original content that I'm doing. So on that note, I appreciate all for listening, and we'll catch you on the next show. Say goodbye, Duchess.
Goodbye.
That sounded more like a question, and we'll take it from that cane of hers. That's Ramadan making her do that. Don't blame her. Don't blame her. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to the WPN's Rights and Wrongs of Pro Wrestling. If you have questions or comments, please contact us via our Facebook or our YouTube channel at the Women's Pro Wrestling Network. If you're new to the WPN, feel free to subscribe to our channel and like our page. We appreciate your support. Thank you again for listening.